Oh, Randy. Where's Randy, guys? Look up. Is he up there?
Thank you, Maya. It's a pleasure.
With what is directly hitting your country.
Bienvenue à cette conférence de presse avec la ministre Joly.
It's a pleasure to see all of you today. Ladies and gentlemen, today, in a demonstration of solidarity, our government is voicing a strong and clear support for motion. Merci. Hi, everybody. It's a pleasure to be able to talk to all of you. I'm now in Brussels, and I've been on the road now for a couple of days.
Question period will nous allons maintenant commencer à poser des questions. As you remind.
All of us go to Florida. We don't.
Oh yeah, baby, let's go to Florida, gang.
Hello, everyone. Bonjour tout le monde. It's a pleasure to be here in Toronto. I want to update you on what we're doing on the economic front. So, as I've told you last week, I left the diplomatic front of the trade war with the US to the economic front. And in that sense, my job as the new Minister of Industry is to really work on the consequences of the US tariffs and to make sure that we can continue to fight for Canadian workers, to make sure that we're in solution mode with businesses and their CEOs, and at the same time that we can continue to grow the economy. My three priorities are these ones. The first one is to make sure that we fight for the sectors that are the most affected by this trade war. So the auto sector, and I was just in Oshawa a bit earlier today at GM, meeting with management, but also meeting with the workers. I would like to thank all the people working on the lines that are making us so proud for their hard work, and we'll continue to fight for your jobs. Meanwhile, I also was in Cpac last week meeting with the hardworking aluminum workers, and I had many conversations also with CEOs of the sector, and same for the people working in the steel sector. And definitely my goal is to make sure that I can go and meet with people that are working either at Algoma or Rio Tinto or ArcelorMittal. So that's my goal. So this is the first priority because, of course, these are the people on the front lines of this trade war. The second priority is really continuing to grow the Canadian economy at a time of geopolitical uncertainty. And so this is a huge challenge, but this is something I think that we can really continue to do, particularly in a couple of sectors. Definitely the defense sector, which will help our manufacturing sector. Definitely also through working on empowering AI, and at the same time in the energy sector. And finally, the third priority that I have is really attracting the best talent in the world. We have an opportunity that we've never seen since the Vietnam War to attract the best and the brightest, particularly coming from south of the border, and we will make sure that we seize this opportunity. So I'll do that in French now. Just give me a second as a proud francophone.
She's such a twit, guys. Like, it's hardly funny at all.
Où on peut vraiment le demander.
Before I ask a question which is tangentially related, I'd like to ask you quickly about Israel. Israel's suggesting that there's a link between Canada, France, and the UK statement aimed at Israel and the Washington shooting. I'm wondering what you would say in response, and if you could respond in English and French, please.
So this is certainly an important issue. It's an issue that is being dealt by the Prime Minister and the Minister of Foreign Affairs, so I'll let them do their job. Donc ça, c'est certainement un enjeu très, très, très important, mais c'est un enjeu aussi qui est géré par le Premier ministre.
Tariffs against EVs made in China to make them a more affordable option for consumers.
So it's not a follow-up question, but it's another question, but I'll answer it. It is definitely our intent to make sure that Canadians can benefit from lower prices on electric vehicles. We said it in our platform that we would be bringing back the support programs for electric vehicles, so we will work on this issue. We know that it is important for our auto sector, it is also important to make sure that Canadians are able to have access to affordable electric vehicles. So this is something that I'll be working with the Minister of Finance on. Oui, c'est certainement une priorité. On continue à
Specifically to get rid of the tariffs on automobiles and steel.
Well, a couple of things. Of course, we're in negotiations with the Americans right now. The Minister of Intergovernmental Affairs, also in charge of U.S. trade, Dominique LeBlanc, is in Washington as we speak. He's been in contact with many officials. But that being said, also, we've worked as well with the auto sector in Canada to make sure that we could find a way to protect the jobs in that sector that is really, really affected through a remission system. So that's what we've done. Now things are going very fast, and negotiations are happening by the hour. So that's the only thing that I can say.
Canada's countermeasures on automobiles include provisions about investments, footprint, and employment levels by the D3 in Canada. How come we're still seeing production cuts, shifts being cut, layoffs at the D3?
So, a couple of things. I had last week a conversation with Honda regarding their investments in the electric vehicle sector. The CEO confirmed that no jobs would be cut and the conditions of workers would remain the same, and that there was still a commitment to the electric vehicle sector, but there is a softening of the demand. So that's just a reality, and it's linked also not only to the U.S. tariffs, but it is also linked to the fact that President Trump has decided not to go ahead with the Inflation Reduction Act, so the IRA that was put in place by President Biden that was providing for support for electric vehicles. So that's the first point. Second is, I spoke this morning with the president of Stellantis. He also assured me that there would be no job loss and the conditions of workers would remain the same. But indeed, there is also a softening of the demand on the electric vehicle side. So my goal is to make sure that I have real conversations with the CEOs and that I can reach out to all the companies that have invested in that sector.
She has a lot of goals, eh? Like, she's always talking about her goals.
At the same time, we've been very thorough in our way to invest by making sure that our support would be linked to production. So there is a good management of taxpayers' money, which for me is a complete priority. And so that's why my concern is much more about how do we create jobs and continue to invest in the future of the auto sector, while at the same time we're dealing with a lot of geopolitics and a lot of uncertainty. So I will definitely be able in a couple next day to not only talk to the Canadian CEOs, but also to talk to global CEOs to make sure that I can.
Her accent is very selective. Like, sometimes she has no accent. It's weird.
And get the point of view from people in Japan, in Germany, and in the US. Thanks. Yeah.
Hi, Anita Balakrishnan from Melogic.
Hi. Hi.
So my first question is to follow up on the Stellantis announcement. I'm curious if you've received any assurances from LG on their joint venture with Stellantis and Windsor and how that will be affected by the news of the delays today.
So I haven't spoken to LG yet. This will definitely be something I will be doing in the coming hours and days because obviously it is an important investment in Canada. At the same time, I think that the information I got from Stellantis is reassuring, but I'm a very pragmatic person and I'm not naive. So we need to continue to fight for these jobs. And the auto sector is under huge pressure because of the U.S. tariffs. So we will continue to get to a good deal with the Americans when it comes to trade and security. We will continue to invest in the future of the auto sector. And meanwhile, we know that Canada will be investing more than ever in defense. And these investments from
Canada does know how to invest. Give me a break.
The Canadian government must enable jobs in Canada. And I'm convinced that we have fantastic Canadian workers that are willing to put, to be elbows up and to make sure that they can build for our men and women serving in Canada and abroad. And so this is an opportunity that we haven't seen since the Second World War to build in Canada and to help sectors that
A minute ago, it was Vietnam. Like,
are affected by the tariffs. And so that's also why I was in GM in Oshawa, and that's also why I'm having conversations with many CEOs, as the Minister of Defense is also working on the biggest reinvestments to get to 2% and even more.
So to follow up on that,
Yep.
we've seen some Canadian companies like Lion Electric, Li-Cycle, that are in the electric vehicle supply chain facing bankruptcy. So do you have any thoughts in your new role as to how resources should be split between these multinational automakers and Canadian companies?
Well, we need to be able to address what's the consequences of President Trump not going ahead with the IRA. And that's having an impact definitely on decision makers in the US. But meanwhile, we need to make sure that we provide certainty in Canada. And I think that we can work a lot with countries such as countries in the EU, such as Germany, and at the same time, countries such as Japan and Korea. And so we want to make
all the globalist states, like, sign these liberals up.
sure that we're useful, that while there is a pause, that we continue to have the right investments in these sectors, because ultimately we want to be there when consumers are ready to adopt these technologies and buy these new cars. And my message to Canadians right now is, please do the right thing and try to buy a Canadian-made car. When we go to the grocery store, we try to not buy American because we know it's the best way to put pressure and to help workers that are affected by the tariffs. Well, it's the same when it comes to buying a car.
Minister?
Yep.
You've now worked with both Mr. Trudeau and Mr. Carney. In your opinion, are their positions on Israel and the situation in Gaza different from each other?
So when it comes to the issue of Israel and Gaza, I know it's a very important issue, but I know the Prime Minister is on it, and I know the Foreign Minister is also working on it, and I have total trust in their work.
And a quick follow-up. On that, do you have any response at all to the Israeli Prime Minister saying the leaders of Canada, the UK, and France are on, quote, the wrong side of history?
You've heard my answer already. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thanks.
Oh, yeah.
Wow, you really are Canadian. Yeah, but let me ask you, Mr. Prime Minister, will there always be a Canada?
There will always be a Canada.
All right, elbows up. Elbows up.
Murphy and does with one hand, looking short side. Feet, not watching Dale Hunter coming in.
So, hi everyone, good morning. What a great day for Canada.
Oh, Randy. Where's Randy, guys? Look up. Is he up there?